Hello, I'm Adrian Amos from Synergy Technical, and today we're taking a look at basic cost optimizations in our cloud VDI instances. So we have two options in the Microsoft VDI space. We have Windows 365 and we have Azure Virtual Desktop. Both of them offer some flexibility in terms of what we can optimize from a cost perspective, but both of them also have some known fixed costs that we have to be aware of, and we have to be able to make sure that we're delivering the right level of service to our users. We have more flexibility within the Azure Virtual Desktop space than we do within the Windows 365 space, but we do need to be cautious that we don't optimize to zero and create a situation where our users simply can't be productive. So what I have here in my demo environment, I've got Windows 365 deployed to some of my users, and I have Azure Virtual Desktop deployed to some of those same users. And what I really want to show is how much money we've been able to save by just delivering some basic cost optimization. So what we're going to do is we're going to start first by looking at what we're licensed for from the Microsoft 365 space. This is where you're going to see both of our Windows 365 Business and our Windows 365 Enterprise SKUs. These are not large machines, right? We went into this environment creating this with the idea that we were already going to be slightly cost optimized. We would scale up if necessary, not scale down. What we can do though in the Windows 365 enterprise space is if our users are not experiencing the right level of performance, or if we have over provisioned them, we can give users the ability to request a resize. Now, you can control this experience by deciding whether or not these machines are licensed by group or licensed directly at the user. If they're licensed directly at the user, they can request a resize, and an available license that's not assigned to somebody can be automatically assigned to that user. If you assign by group, though, you can make sure that that doesn't happen. Now, another caveat about Windows 365 licensing, though, is that the machine is already cost optimized. Whether you're running it at 0% processor memory and disk utilization for the entirety of the month, or you're running it at 100% all the way across the board for those things, your costs are the same. But those very things are exactly what can drive cost optimizations in the Azure Virtual Desktop space. So in my AVD environment, I have multiple different deployments. I have hybrid Azure AD joined machines, which necessarily require an Active Directory. That can itself be an area of cost optimization. If you have users that are only using cloud workloads, they're only connecting to cloud systems, and they don't have a need to connect to on-premises, you can create an environment that does not require that. There's some customization that has to happen in that space. So if you have the resources within your IT department to manage the creation of custom roles and custom assignments within the Azure space, you can absolutely drive down the need for connection to an Active Directory. And that can be significant, especially if you're running those machines in Azure. Now, if you do have a requirement for hybrid Azure AD Join, where you're actually connecting to machines that, or to on-premises systems, then you have some controls around the size of the device that you can provision. With Windows 365, you have these basic baked-in offerings, right? And you can scale up and down, like I said, based on license assignment to meet the needs of your users. And you can change these from month to month. But with Azure Virtual Desktop, we can actually come in here and get extremely granular with what are the sizes that are out here. We already get pre-filtered to see what are the sizes that most people are using. And this is a cost per month, assuming that you're running the machine all the time. We can go down and through here and choose all sorts of different sizes that exist, and we can assign those out to our users as we need. We can also change them. Now, another thing that we can do, I mentioned that it's assuming that we're running them all the time. We can actually turn off machines automatically from Azure. This is not a component of Azure Virtual Desktop, but it's actually a component of running the machines as virtual machines within Azure. We can assign auto shutdown policies so that these machines automatically turn off at a certain time of day. This is dramatic improvement because what it allows us to do is we can actually define that our business day ends at 5, our users are logged off at 6, we shut the machines down. We then need to be able to give the users the ability to do Start on Connect, which is a really cool capability that exists for our Azure Virtual Desktop users. That also then means that the connection to that machine is a little bit delayed, but that's okay because the user gets a notification that they have to wait a moment while that machine starts up. This also requires the creation of a custom role. So what you can see here is that as we start increasing these optimizations for our cost, we're actually slightly inconveniencing the user, right? So now we're having to, they have to wait a moment while the machine starts up. But the kind of savings that we can drive with this are pretty substantial. This is the run rate for my machines in my environment from September 1st. And where we started back in September was we had a very small environment. That environment has grown over time to meet additional use cases. You can see that the storage and security center costs have risen a little bit as the number of machines managed has increased. But what's really taken the lion's share of our day-to-day operations is the run rate of our virtual machines. And you can see there was a spike here as we had added some additional machines as part of an auto-scaling set when that capability first went live. Now, what I then did was I created these policies to automatically shut the machines down at 6 p.m. and this has been my run rate since. Now I've actually gone in and created this start VM on Connect so that my users can create their own sessions and begin start their own machines. And I expect that this rate will rise a little bit, but I don't expect it to rise to even a quarter of the rate of what it had been before. So and this is before we even get into things like Azure reserved instances for machines, where we can drive the run rates for these machines down by 70 to 80% per month simply by opting into a reserved instance, which locks us in for 1 or 3 years. So with very few changes to the environment, we've been able to drive down a 90% cost improvement. There it is, 350 from 3750. So 90% improvement in our daily run rate on virtual machines simply by choosing a few key optimizations. Again, you do have to be very cautious that you don't optimize to zero. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you found this useful, and I hope that you're able to drive some cost optimizations and improvements in your own environment. Thanks for joining.